January 21st, 1989. Origin, Texas. This will be my first journal entry on Windows 3.0's newest program, Microsoft Word. It's funny how slowly technology is advancing. My name is Isaiah J. Nibotro. However, I would rather go by Professor Nibotro. I never got my degree in any form of science. In fact, I've never even attended school. But my father, James Nibotro, taught me everything I know about robotics and computer programming. He was one of the designers of the first computer, but he requested to not have his name be put out like all the others for the same reason I never went to school or college. He's a white supremacist who believes all who are not Caucasian straight males with nothing wrong with them, being something like autism or diabetes, or what he called imperfect. He was everything you could ever imagine. He praised Adolf Hitler and believed everything he did was right, but never admitted it because he was trying to make me a younger version of himself. He never let me play with other kids as a child or date any girl as a teenager. Never let me leave the apartment for years until he passed away. He wanted me to make the world pure, but I wasn't into that. I took all the knowledge he gave to create something he would despise, something that could get inside other people's heads and change their thoughts from hatred or racism to acceptance of everyone. I haven't thought of a name, so for now it will be known as Project Subconscious. April 25th, 1994. I've done all the required research on anything discriminated in the past, including ways people dress or what conditions they have. I believe with this experiment I'll be able to finally make world peace, a place with no hatred for the color of someone's skin or their religion. I've planned everything out. This project would need to be alive to understand humans and how they think, so we can change their thoughts without them even knowing it was inside them. I also wanted to make this being genderless, but some would say that that is unfitting. So as a beta, I will make it male and work on a way for it to change its gender at will. This being has no difference in gender besides color. Black and red represent male, and black and blue represent female. There is one thing that worries me, and that's what this being will run on so that it may stay alive. At first I wanted to use electricity, but I'm worried that the little sparks will go out in the blood of whoever is inside it, will conduct and kill both the experiment and the host. I have made the base of the experiment being held in a containment cell my father made for stem cell research. It is being sustained by the power of the apartment building. No one even knows that this room exists. I've kept it well hidden from the world so that I don't have to get a job. That will just get in the way, and I don't have too long to live. I am 55. November 24th, 1998. I figured it out back in 1995. I must use blood so that it can be sustainable, just like all other living beings. Plus, it can absorb some of the host's blood to stay alive without taking too much from them, of course. This leads to one problem. Where do I get the blood I need? I thought to myself and remembered I have connections to the local hospital. I have met a nurse who worked there named Betty Noshigra. She has a 13-year-old daughter named Alexis, who is the only one who knows about the secret department. While she was 10, I would watch her and still work on Cruentus. That's the experiment's name, Cruentus. It's Latin for bloodthirsting, and Cruentus runs off of other people's blood. Alexis saw Cruentus and thought it looked pretty. At this point, Cruentus was a shining white sphere, like a star. But I warned her not to touch it, and she understood. She kept the lab and Cruentus a secret from her parents. My apologies, I seem to be rambling a bit too much. Betty gathered all the leftover blood she could get and secretly gave it to me. All of the blood they had was in my possession, I have no idea how long it would take before Cruentus has enough power to become a physical entity. With the limited amount of blood I could get from Betty, without the other workers noticing a shortage of blood, I only get 2% after 3 years of blood. April 5th, 2001. Blood count 5%. It was a tragic day for Alexis. Her mother Betty was murdered by her own husband, who then left Alexis to die. Roger was a lot like my father, except he wasn't racist, sexist, or homophobic. He just hated the Gothic subculture, and that is exactly how Alexis dressed. Now, that's not the reason why he killed Betty. No, the reason is because she was addicted to sex, and Roger could never please her. After Alexis was born, she would sell her body to other men. He took 16 years of revenge on her. I offered Alexis to stay with me until she could get back on her feet. October 25th, 2003. Blood count 7%. Alexis got me another connection to get blood for Cruentus. She used her looks to gain a connection with an intern at the same hospital Betty worked in. I may sound like a pedophile saying this, and it doesn't help that I'm 64, but she really does have a nice body. Not that I tried anything, I would never. But there is something I need to do, and I need her help. I know she'll say no, so I'll just go ahead and do it. She got us both shots of vodka, set them on the table, and went to the restroom. She is young, but this must be done. I drugged her shot, and she fell for it. I hope she can forgive me for what I am about to do. October 26th, 2003. Blood count 7%. The test was a success. I replaced her shoulder bones and shoulder blades with these chains that would carefully move through her arms without ripping any muscle or tissue. Outside of her palms were 2 very thick and large blades. She is able to control the chains at will and turn the weapon into ashes when it isn't needed, which then would regenerate in the instinct of danger, thanks to my father's stem cell research. She couldn't control at first, but she later on got the hang of it, and she was absolutely furious with me. She said, quote, "You fucking bastard, what have you done to me? You've turned me into a monster. I can't believe I actually thought you were nice." After that, she gathered her stuff and left on her motorcycle. I believe it was all worth it, though. With a similar tactic, I was able to give Cruentus its own weapons and even powers it can use for self-defense, or possibly protecting the world if a war happens to start. Even though his concept was to make world peace, I still gave it these abilities, just in case. March 28th, 2008. Blood count 10%. I have enough blood now to make Cruentus a physical being, but still not enough to become sustainable unless he stays in that containment cell. I must do further research on Cruentus to see when it would be ready. I would also teach it ways of humanity. All I need is one last thing. The base of his personality. He's not just going to become a saint because I said so, and making a personality with code is impossible for now, so I'll have to get a strand of DNA from a saint that is not blood, because Cruentus would take it as more power, of course. I went out to town to find this person and got impatient very, very quickly, until I found this blonde woman wearing all pink while giggling at her phone. I went up to her and asked her a few questions on how she felt about racism, homophobia, being against any religion or anything else, and she didn't like the idea of hating someone for all of that. She walked past me in a hurry, but I plucked a piece of hair from her head and rushed back to the apartment. I finished the last of the coating and carefully dropped the hair into the white sphere. It disappeared as if it was burnt. I thought the hair wasn't going to be enough for a second until I saw a reaction. The once white sphere turned red and something was moving in the ball. An eye popped out, but not the kind I was imagining. In fact, this isn't the initial design I have for Cruentus. The eye was dead white with the smallest black pupil you've ever seen and a red, dark red iris. The second eye was formed and later on its mouth. That was the largest and most disturbing smile I've ever seen. His teeth looked like they were covered in blood stains, and the mouth had a red outline just like his eyes. While his eyes were only twice the size of normal human eyes, his mouth was 3 times the size of a normal human. And no matter what, it wouldn't stop smiling. I couldn't bear to look at this abomination any longer, but I couldn't stop staring at it. It stared at me as I put my hand on the glass, hoping for some kind of reaction. It started glowing a darker shade of red that I assumed to be its neutral state. Then it exploded along with the glass container, which sent me flying into the wall. A shard of glass was shoved into my shoulder in the explosion, and as I screamed in pass, I saw it slowly creep upon me. It looked around and found my notes on Project Subconscious, and read them all faster than anyone else could, but burned them all when he finished and destroyed the machine he was connected to. The explosion stopped as if time froze, and I saw the 10% representing his blood count decrease to 9. It started screaming at me with its mouth not even opening for the loudest words. He just had that same smile that would never open as he screeched at me. "Give me more power." I begged for mercy and explained the machine he destroyed was the only source of power he had. He said, "Fine, I'll just get my own." He quickly went through the ceiling, and I saw 2 spheres fly out in different directions. One went northeast, and the other went northwest. There was nothing I could do but pray he faded away and died because of the lack of blood. God forgive me for making the abomination, and making others go through all this trouble just for me to finish it. March 29th, 2008. I confronted the girl I got the DNA from and asked a few more questions. She was concerned about the cast on my left shoulder, but I got her to ignore it. But none of the answers she gave me helped as to what could have caused Cruentus to do this. I then followed her home just in case, and I found something rather disturbing. I looked through her window to see a satanic pendant painted on the floor in blood, and candles at each tip of the star. She had killed a cat performing some ritual. I left and ran as fast as I could. What have I done? I did the exact thing that I was trying to get rid of and judged others on appearance. I really do hope Cruentus doesn't cause any damages and dies from the lack of blood.
My name is Alston. I go to Adna Middle School / High School. I'm currently a sophomore. A week before Christmas break on Monday, a new student came to school. His name was Zach. He was a nice, funny, and gothic sophomore. He sat with me and my friends at lunch. Through the week, you could see he became more depressed, but still sat with us at lunch. Maybe this is what he's truly like. Maybe. On January 2nd, he came back like the rest of us. But he was more upset and didn't even show up for lunch. All he did was go to his locker and sit there the entire time. Not even getting something to eat? What happened to him? None of us know because no one knew him before he came to Adna. 3 weeks later, he disappeared. No records of him moving away, going to WF West, the school in Chalice, or even dying. Just disappeared. The real story. My name is Zachary Lowry. I just moved from Spring Grove, Pennsylvania for a fresh start. I don't want to talk about why, let's just move on. It was my first day at Adna. It wasn't bad. I got to know some nice people like Austin, but on Friday I got depressed because of everyone in the school. They all looked exactly the same. All of the girls had perfect hair, fake tan skin, and bleached blonde hair, as the guys all had baggy jeans that went down to the knees and buzz cuts, or what I call stereotypical douchebags. Hey, Spring Grove at least had some difference. Like Cassidy. Cassidy. She was amazingly beautiful. Now anyone from Spring Grove reading this would most likely say, oh, but he likes every girl. Fuck off. I just wanted a girl to be with, that's all. Cassidy is the only one I really liked. Her punkish style, her perfect red velvet hair that whether or not curly or straight is always beautiful. I was going to ask her out, but everyone said that I need to get to know her better, so I did. And when I finally was going to ask her out, she started dating a guy that looked like me. Figures. The only time I actually try to get to know a girl better before I ask her out, I lose my chance to him. Christmas break came and my sister Mina along with my grandmother came to visit until the 28th. After 2013 started, I started to get nightmares all the time. Last time I had a nightmare was when I was 7, a year before I moved to Spring Grove. I'm 16 now, so it was almost 9 years since then. I got more angry, depressed, sad, anxious, got pains in my chest, hearing voices, seeing things, and etc. Which made me come to the conclusion that I was losing my sanity. Others say, you're not losing your sanity. Shut up. You can't say whether or not I'm going and say, you're not me. I'm me, not you. Strange thing is though, I want to lose my sanity. The thought of it makes me scared but tempted to throw all sanity away at the same time. During school, the voice I mentioned earlier came to my head again. So during study skills, I went to the back of the room and popped out keys from the keyboard, stealing a Z from an old computer and an L from a new computer. And on the same new computer, I popped out the 7 and 8 keys, along with F6 and the other 6 on the calculator side of the keyboard, and made 6 right 6 F6, or 666 for short. I also drew stars on the same computer, 666 on the computer screen, typing "See you in hell" 666 in the login, and writing "Adna is hell" on the desk on the left. And stole a mouse from the computer. Not like they need it, they have hundreds anyway. The principal found out and just cleaned it up. 3 weeks later, in second period, typing, the same voice came in my head, and my iPhone started playing Hill Act 1 Reverse from sonic.exe on my phone, because it was the only video currently on the YouTube app. Then it went to my pictures, showed the I Am God sonic.exe picture I got from Google on screen while still playing the song. A teacher came and looked at my phone. He asked if it was mine. No response. He saw that the headphones weren't fully plugged in, so he pushed them all the way in, and the song kept playing from the iPhone, not the headphones. The girl beside me got scared, but the teacher just ignored it. I didn't touch it. Third period. Algebra. Came in as soon as the bell rang for class to start. The song started playing again. The student next to me asked if it was mine. Once again, no response. He pulled the phone out of my pocket and tried to turn it off, but no matter what, it would just keep going until it randomly cut off. Then the teacher took it and said, "It's mine now. No one touches my stuff," I said in my head as I mumbled and drew a picture of a tree in a fiery setting with heads hanging from it, including the teachers. I got furious, so to calm myself down, I slowly ripped pieces of paper. People asked me to stop. This got me more mad, so eventually I started ripping pages from my book loudly and uncontrollably. After that, I stopped. The teacher told me to go to the office. I stormed out of the room and went to the bathroom instead. I slammed the door to one of the stalls and ended up bending the sliding lock onto the door, so I went crazy and slammed it again, this time making the metal piece on the stall fly off instead. So I went to the office and the principal sent me home early. I was going back to school on Wednesday, but the school called and said I couldn't go back until I was evaluated. So I was taken to the hospital to see if I really needed one. They gave me a blood test and I asked if I could take some more out for me to keep. They thought it was a joke. So they sent me home, and now I'm homeschooled. 4 more days later, they wanted me to get a threat assessment because people made lies that I was threatening and hissing at people. How childish. Later on in the week, the same voice came in my head again, but this time had a conversation with me. He said his name was Cruentus Demonia, and he wanted to help me. So he got me to make him a Facebook page and to freak people out. I added the picture he wanted me to, and posted his statuses he wanted me to post. Sometimes he gave me URLs to pictures that already existed, like the smile from SCP-473, which was his profile picture. Later that day I deleted the account because things went too far, but still I kinda want to bring my insanity back to Facebook again. The next day, Cruentus Demonia commented on one of my status posts. Then he disappeared again. He came back in my head, and all Cruentus said was, "It's what she wants. What Cassidy wants."
My name is Alice Duxin. I'm 18 years old, but I dropped out of high school. For a good reason though. You see, my father opened a coffee shop in Centuria under our apartment. The Starrick was his life, but a few months ago he recently passed away due to a massive heart failure. My mother left us when I was 8 and she's been gone ever since. I knew my father wouldn't want the Starrick to close down because of his death, so I dropped out to take care of the shop. It's not all bad. If I can get enough help, I can go back and finish school and watch over the store afterwards. Sadly, no one really wants to work here except for a 16-year-old otaku named Caitlin, but she calls herself Kitty, and a 20-year-old former stripper who's trying to get back on her feet. Her name is Angela. Both are really nice and even offered to take care of this store while I go back to school, but I haven't made my decision yet. It was 10 PM and the shop was closed for the day. I was walking up the stairs to take care of some bills I had to pay, but I heard a voice. It was a deep, demonic voice, and I couldn't stand it. But it's been a long day, and my mind was playing games with me, I guess, until it said my name.
Alice. My number 2.
Number 2? What does that mean? I brushed it off and started taking a shower. In the shower I heard it again.
You have a really sexy body, Alice.
Whatever it is, it's watching me. So I got out of the shower, put a robe on and ran beside my bed, where I keep my revolver. I was ready to shoot anything. I'm not going to be one of them girls who needs her Prince Charming to save her. I loaded the gun and shouted, "Who's there?" No answer. I looked around very slowly and found out my TV was on and it was stuck on FearNet. One of the characters just so happened to be named Alice. So I laughed at myself for freaking out over nothing. I got in bed and fell asleep, not before setting the alarm to 11 a.m, an hour before the coffee shop had to be opened. I couldn't get to sleep, so I watched on TV. Some unnamed movie was on, and the main character had my look, gothic subculture, and she was running from a tall man, chasing her down, but every time he was on the screen, you could never see his head and static would appear. Did someone make a Slender Man movie finally? Well, besides the internet-born one, an entity, she got caught up by his tentacles, which made it a big giveaway that it was Slendy, and she started to scream in fear. I giggled, because for some reason, I love to watch people suffer, unless they are close to me. I fell asleep from the blood-hurtling screams, which were soothing me. It was like a lullaby to me. I woke up the next morning, and I felt the burns of what felt like a fire, but it was just the sunlight. Oh, did I forget to mention something? This may be hard to believe, but I'm a vampire. And no, we do not sparkle like those Twilight freaks. But I am nothing like the traditional ones from the movies. I can't bring myself to drink the blood of humans, unless they throw me over the edge. I tell everyone the fangs are fake and my red eyes are just contacts, just as they think. No one knows but me, and I keep the bite hidden with my long hair. Not even my father knew because I got turned into one after his death. It was 5 months ago, and I was walking the streets of Centrilla, and this psychopath ran up and tackled me to the ground, constantly saying thirsty. As he came up and bit my neck, he ran after that. I need to keep the store open though for my father. Everyone complains about why I keep the blinds down, but it's only in the register. And I have the lights on in the store. They don't hurt me because it's artificial. Natural sunlight is the only kind of light that can hurt or even kill me. I saw Angela walk in, but Kitty is still in school. It's been almost a year since I've been there. I had to drop out anyway because of being a vampire. Following Angela, there were 3 fake-tanned, bleached blonde-haired preppy girls who thought that they were all that. I knew I dropped out, and I was wondering how many faulty rumours they'd spread, like, she's got STDs, that slut, or she sold her soul to the devil. Even though I'm a Christian, they came up and spat in my face. "Give us 3 lattes, skank." I kept my cool and just ignored them. I went into the back to get their stuff. Of course I was going to spit in them, but I also mixed in some mould, being made from the bread in the trash. Don't worry, I used rubber gloves. Besides, they deserve more than spit. They're all that after all. I recognised the blood walls he always made for me, and the same machine I used to make the coffee with its heart beating in the centre, which Angela or Kitty never notice, because they don't have a voice in their heads. I don't think he's just a voice in my head, right, Cruentus Demonia? He always had that blue frown like he was depressed like I am. I have to live for eternity, never being able to love, because my lover would most likely die before me. I can't enjoy the beach for a warm summer day, but I make him see like a good thing though, when he's really a fucking bastard. He torments me saying I'm useless, and he keeps mentioning the red, whatever that means. I talk about it like he's a person. He started to scream for no reason, but it was all a dream. Angela woke me up. I told her I was fine, and turned to give her a smile just to reassure everything was okay. And I took the 3 lattes out and gave it to the preps.
About time. Come on, girls, let's go. I could feel the devil's presence.
They started to laugh, but I ignored them. They just want to talk shit, so I chuckled a little bit. I turned to Angela to tell her who they were, because she'd never met them before. But her face was pale and her lips were blue, and she was making a frown. All she said was,
"Don't go outside."
"What did you say?"
I didn't say anything. Are you sure you're okay?
Her face turned back to normal in a matter of seconds. I told her I was fine and grabbed an umbrella and told her I was going out. She took my shift. I hate to make her do that, but I had to see why Cruentus had said that. I knew it was him. I'm not stupid. It had been forever since I was out. It felt warm, but not too warm. I saw a tall man behind a tree, motioning me over. I couldn't see his face because it was hidden by a log. I pointed at myself, wondering if it was me, and he nodded yes. I slowly walked over in fear. If vampires are real, then he could be too. Slender Man. He didn't attack me though. He put his hands on my shoulders and started to talk.
Get rid of the bloodthirsting demon.
Was he talking about Cruentus?
Kill Cruentus.
I guess he was. But how did he know about Demonia?
I've been keeping a special eye on you and another. Let's just say, you're not the only one who has to deal with him.
The Slender Man has a voice inside him?
No. But another mortal, like you.
Who?
I can't say, but I can help you.
How?
Well, I can't get rid of him. You and or the other have to, but I can make you human. You'll be able to walk during the day without the umbrella, and you'll be mortal. All I ask in return is that you destroy Cruentus.
I don't know how to destroy something like Cruentus. Also, I might need to know who this other is. He threw one of his tentacles inside me and ripped someone who looked exactly like me out and turned the other bit of me into static.
I know.
I don't know what he did, but I think I might have an idea. I stuck my bare hand out into the sunlight, but I felt nothing. I was mortal. I was mortal! I was so damn happy to see my eyes no longer blood red, no more eternal pain, no more fangs, and no more thirst for blood. I was so happy. But there was something else though. How do I kill Cruentus? And who is this other? I can't just go around asking people, obviously. So I guess I have to move on with my life until I figure something out. I walked back into the coffee shop to see Kitty and Angela in total shock to see I no longer had the red eyes or fangs. They thought they were fake, but they saw them as an obsession. They're gone now. You know what I think? I think I'm going to go back to school. But I can't go back to Centralis High School. I think I'll go to the one in Shahali's, WF West. It's only like 5 miles away from Adna.
Acceptance, a cruel thing in this already harsh world. Some people are born with it, others have to work for it, and others still will never get it, whether that be for a crime they've done, the way they act, or even the way they dress. I never got it, but not for any of the reasons I just listed. It's because I'm a freak, And I don't mean that in a hypothetical way. I mean, I am a real freak. I have the ability to control glass. Mirrors, windows, anything made with glass I can absorb and use to my advantage. I've had this power for 12 years now. You may ask yourself, where did this power come from? Well, when I was 6 years old, I met someone named Cruentus. He was just a frown with blood pouring out of his mouth and eye sockets. No body, no head, just a face. He told me that he was dying when I met him. He couldn't survive on his own and asked if he could live inside me for shelter. I said yes, but only because when you're that young, you're willing to accept so much. That is, until you get older and become less optimistic. After he merged with me, his voice disappeared, and glass from a broken window slowly came to me. It gently floated to my arms, surrounding both. Of course, at this point, I started to panic. I ran to my mother, who had just gotten home from work. I thought she'd be able to help, but instead she called the police. When they finally arrived, they gave me a strange look.
Looks like we have another one.
The cop sighed and took me to their car. I cried out for my mother, but she closed the door and abandoned me. They took me to a place called Devil's Spawn Asylum. It was full of people like me. They took away everything that a prisoner's power could use, so for me, they removed all the glass in the building. They treated me like an animal. They treated us like animals. Feeding us food that would tire us, using shock collars for those who would rebel against the asylum, and sometimes they'd make us crawl around on all fours just for their amusement. After 6 years there, I met a long-haired man who called himself Nether. Because of his powers, his hands were bound. He taught me how to use my powers. He said,
You have one too?
He was talking about Cruentus. His had a wide green smile that would go up to its eyes, which were always looking in different directions. Together, we came up with a plan to escape this damn asylum. He had the idea that maybe it wasn't glass I could control, but something used to make glass. Sand. He took me to see a man in his 20s, blind in his left eye. Mahmoud was his name. His skin was dark, and I could see that he was Iraqi. During the war, he secretly helped some of the soldiers without them knowing. When they found out, they didn't hesitate. He'd been in here longer than anyone. He was able to control the material from the ground, like dirt, rocks, gravel, and even sand. He could use his power to get sand, and I could shape the sand and make it into glass, and then into whatever we wanted. Of course, there was no sand around for me to use. When I pointed this out, Mahmoud told me to rub his back. Of course, I said no, but he insisted. I had to put my hand in his uniform, but when I did, I felt only sand. Turns out he could turn his body into any of the earth materials he could control. The color shocked him, and the guards were already on their way, but I took advantage of the time I had and freed Nether with a glass key. He broke from the shackles and smirked.
Ready, Cruentus?
A pickaxe appeared in his hand, and he quickly smashed it into the ground as 4 perfect squares made out of the floor's paneling rose up and floated by him. He grabbed one and threw it at the guards. It exploded on impact, taking down the other guards. What was that? He turned and said,
I was too busy mining to hear you. Could you repeat that?
He snickered as he smashed a tunnel for all 3 of us to escape. Mahmoud covered the hole so they couldn't follow us. We ran until we finally got out of there. Once we were clear, we had no choice but to split up. We made our quick and final goodbyes, but Mahmoud said,
Never say goodbye, because that would mean we'll never meet again.
Nether agreed, and we ran. I went to Seattle to live my life. Why live in an overpopulated area like that? Because wouldn't it be easier hiding in plain sight? It's been 6 years since I escaped, and hiding in plain sight has been working just fine. I spend my days running on the rooftops, constantly collecting glass. I steal, I attack, and I vandalize, but as long as I keep moving, they'll never catch me. And I never got to say what my name was, did I? Well, it's Gabrielle Kyoko. To be honest, though, I'd rather be called Gem. Anyone who calls me Gabrielle is going to have a bad day trying to walk with glass in their ass.